Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu, and with me is Anita Anand bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin holds 21st India-Russia Annual Summit at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. India and Russia have set target of trade worth $30 billion and investment worth $50 billion by 2025, says Prime Minister Modi. Indian economy shows strong signs of recovery. 19 out of 22 economic indicators register increase compared to situation before COVID-19 pandemic. India and Bangladesh jointly celebrate Maitri Divas to commemorate 50 years of the Bangladesh Liberation War. And in cricket, India becomes number one test team in latest ICC rankings. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the fresh corona variants is causing concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. The 21st India-Russia Annual Summit between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin was held at Hyderabad House in New Delhi on Monday evening. In his opening remarks, Mr. Modi said India's special and strategic partnership with Russia has continued to strengthen despite the COVID pandemic. He said both the countries cooperated strongly during the pandemic, from vaccine trials and production, assistance to returning nationals to respective nations.
हमारी स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप निरंतर मजबूत होती गई। कोविड के खिलाफ लड़ाई में भी दोनों देशों के बीच बेहतरीन सहयोग रहा, चाहे वैक्सीन ट्रायल्स और उत्पादन में हो, मानवीय सहायता के लिए हो या एक दूसरे के नागरिकों की देश वापसी के लिए हो।
Mr. Modi pointed out that in the last few decades, several fundamentals have changed and new geopolitical angles have emerged. He asserted that amid all such variables, Indo-Russian friendship has been constant. He said both countries have assisted each other and also taken care of each other's sensitivities. The Prime Minister said the first 2+2 dialogue between defense and foreign ministers, which took place earlier today, starts a new mechanism to improve behavioral cooperation. He also said they have been in constant touch on Afghanistan and other regional issues.
2+2 डायलॉग की पहली बैठक से हमारे व्यवहारिक सहयोग को बढ़ाने का एक नया मैकेनिज्म शुरू हुआ है। अफगानिस्तान और दूसरे क्षेत्रीय विषयों पर भी हम निरंतर संपर्क में रहे हैं। ईस्टर्न इकोनॉमिक फोरम और व्लादिवोस्तोक समिट से शुरू हुई रीजनल पार्टनरशिप आज रशियन फार ईस्ट और भारत के राज्यों के बीच वास्तविक सहयोग में बदल रही है। आर्थिक क्षेत्र में भी अपने रिश्तों को और घनिष्ठ बनाने के लिए हम एक लॉन्ग टर्म विजन अपना रहे हैं। हमने 2025 तक $30 बिलियन के ट्रेड और $50 बिलियन के निवेश का लक्ष्य रखा है। विभिन्न सेक्टरों में आज भी हमारे समझौतों से इसमें मदद मिलेगी।
Mr. Modi stated that they are adopting a long-term vision to strengthen bilateral partnership in economic affairs. He highlighted that they have set a target of trade worth $30 billion and investment worth $50 billion by 2025. The Prime Minister said that under Make in India, co-development and co-production are strengthening India-Russia partnership in the defense sector. He said they are also heading closer in cooperation in space and civil nuclear sectors. In his statement, Russian President Putin said his country perceives India as a great power, a friendly nation, and a time-tested friend. He said the relations between the two nations are growing and he is looking into the future.
Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla today said that Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to India was short but highly productive and substantive. Briefing media in New Delhi this evening, Mr. Shringla said that there were excellent discussions between the two leaders and 28 agreements were concluded during the visit. He said that these agreements include those between government to government and business to business. The Foreign Secretary said that the fact that President Putin decided to visit India for the annual summit is an indication of the importance he attaches to the bilateral relationship and his personal rapport with Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
The fact that President Putin has decided to visit India for our annual summit exceptionally is an indication of the importance he attaches to the bilateral relationship and, of course, his personal rapport with Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. You are also aware that President Putin had conferred Russia's highest civilian award on the Prime Minister in 2019. The visit of President Putin is short, but nonetheless highly productive, highly substantive. There were excellent discussions between the two leaders.
He elaborated that enhancing bilateral trade and investment figured prominently in the talks between the two leaders. He also added that there has been an encouraging trend of growth in bilateral trade compared to last year. He said that both sides are looking forward to continued increase in trade and investment trajectory. Mr. Shringla informed that on the trade and investment side, there are some specific plans which include long-term cooperation in the areas of inland waterways, fertilizers, coking coals, and steel and skilled manpower. The Foreign Secretary said Prime Minister Modi thanked President Putin for the welfare of Indian community in Russia, especially during COVID pandemic. Both leaders discussed the need for mutual recognition of vaccine certification to enable easier travel by citizens to each other's countries. The first ever India-Russia 2+2 Ministerial dialogue was held in New Delhi on Monday afternoon. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar represented the Indian side in the 2+2 dialogue, and the Russian side was represented by their Foreign Affairs Minister and Defence Minister. Dr. Jaishankar said in a tweet after the meeting that there was a productive exchange of perspectives on cross-cutting and interrelated issues. He said that in his opening remarks that the meeting at a crucial juncture in the global geopolitical environment, which is in great flux, especially in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. He further stated that as close friends and strategic partners, India and Russia have been working together to safeguard common interests and to ensure peace, progress and prosperity for the people. In his opening remarks at the dialogue, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh termed it as a historic day in bilateral relations. He said India-Russia defence cooperation have progressed in an unprecedented manner in the recent times. He said India's development needs are colossal and its defence challenges are legitimate, real and immediate.
Russia will remain a major partner for India. We proposed greater engagements in Central Asia and the Indian Ocean region, enhanced requirement of India for closer military and military technical cooperation, and the extraordinary militarization and expansion of armament in our neighborhood, and the unprovoked aggression on our northern border since early summer of 2020 have thrown in several challenges. We are optimistic about Russia's cooperation in all the domains.
Ahead of the dialogue, Dr. Jaishankar held a meeting with Russian Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov this morning. Dr. Jaishankar said India-Russia partnership is very special and unique. At the same time, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Russian counterpart Sergei Shoigu attended the 20th meeting of India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military and Military Technical Cooperation. Mr. Singh termed Russia as India's long-standing, special and privileged strategic partner and said that the relations were time-tested and based on common interests in multilateralism, global peace and prosperity, mutual understanding and trust. He expressed hope that this cooperation will bring peace, prosperity and stability in the region. 4 agreements were signed after this meeting, including contract for procurement of over 6 lakh AK-203 assault rifles and agreement on program for military technical cooperation from 2021 to 2031. More from our correspondent.
AK-203 assault rifle will tremendously augment the operational capability of our soldiers. Hence, this contract ends the long quest of Indian Army to replace aging insights rifle with a modern weapon. AK-203 rifle, having an effective range of 300 meters, is a lightweight and easy-to-use modern assault weapon with proven technology. This will enhance the combat potential of our soldiers to meet the operational challenges. On the other hand, the unit located in Korba in Amethi district of Uttar Pradesh will boost the manufacturing ecosystem in UP Defence Corridor. It will also generate local employment opportunities and the economic growth will see an upswing. Naseem Naqvi for World News, New Delhi.
In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on India-Russia Annual Summit towards a special and privileged partnership. The participants are P.S. Raghavan, former ambassador, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing India-Russia relationship, especially in light of the 2+2 dialogue that took place in Delhi today. We also have President Putin arriving in Delhi and holding talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ambassador Raghavan, when we see this 2+2 dialogue which has happened today and important agreements have been signed, how much of a progress and a push forward do you see this for the India-Russia relationship, especially when you look at it from the critique of some analysts who felt that maybe India was getting closer to the US or some other countries? Do you see this as a reassessment and a re-establishment of a very important historical relationship?
Thank you very much. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Given particularly the context of the India-Russian relationship in the wider global geopolitical environment, the 2+2 dialogue is a very significant initiative taken by the two countries. We just recently, in fact, just a few minutes ago, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov did a press conference about the outcome of the 2+2 meetings, and he laid out what was discussed. Essentially, the two countries discussed their bilateral relationship in the context of the global geopolitical environment, whether it is regional developments like Afghanistan or broader developments in West Asia like Syria, Iran, and so on. And inevitably, of course, they also discussed what has often been seen in controversial terms between India and Russia, which is the Quad, India's relationship with the United States, which you mentioned, what Quad means for India-Russia relations. So all of this were discussed there, and it's an opportunity for two strategic partners to exchange notes about their perspectives, to describe their national interests which are leading them to the decisions with other partners. Of course, while Russia talks about Quad, we should talk also about Russia-China relations. Given our fraught relations with China, we are also concerned about what the Russians are doing with China. We are concerned that our strategic partnership, especially relating to defense, will withstand anything that Russia and China do together, and that they should not impinge on our national interests. So it is a synchronization of position, understanding each other's perspective, seeing how our convergences can be sharpened, and where there are differences in outlook, how we see that those differences in outlook do not impinge on our core national interests. This is the overall objective of the 2+2 dialogue. As you know very well, we don't have 2+2 dialogue in general. 2+2 dialogues are a very intimate format between countries. They don't occur between casual relations. They occur only where relationships are strong and are strategic.
Ambassador Raghavan, we also saw that the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he also spoke today of the India-Russia cooperation and especially of the S-400 deal, which he said has a very important practical meaning for Indian defense capability. He also very bluntly pointed out that, we have witnessed attempts on the part of the United States to undermine this cooperation. How do you, see the purchase of Russia's S-400 advanced missile system by India? And also, how do you see this further reconfirming their defense cooperation, which for a very long time has actually been one of the cornerstones in the India-Russia ties?
The S-400 is really a game changer in military terms. Much more than a missile system, by the way. It's an air defense system. It's a comprehensive air defense system. And it is something that is particularly relevant to India, given its conditions, given its adversarial relationship. And also writes that, you have heard about this CATSA, the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, which is a sanctions regime that the Americans have legislated in their Congress, under which anybody who has significant defense transactions with Russia would attract American sanctions. And this has been openly threatened, especially during the Trump administration. The Americans have openly threatened that these sanctions could be attracted if India goes ahead with the S-400 deal, which would mean actually that, our avenues for business with America would be severely curtailed. Now, India has exercised its strategic autonomy to decide which weapon systems it wants, when it wants it, and with whom it will contract. And of course, as an aside, one might say that there is no equivalent in the Western armory to the S-400. So it's a significant deal. So it's a significant deal in military terms. It's a significant deal in strategic terms. As you mentioned, it is India exercising its autonomy and demonstrating the exercise of its autonomy. Of course, you see, if you look at it in a larger perspective, no country has transferred the level of military technologies as Russia has done. So in spite of the fact that we are now very actively diversifying our military acquisitions, over the last 10 years, we have significantly stepped up our military acquisitions from the USA, from the US, from France, from Israel, and from others. Yet, in the last 5 years, 50% of our defense acquisitions have been from Russia. So that is a situation that is not going to change very significantly. We will diversify, but we will also take from Russia wherever Russia transfers technology. And Russia has supported our Make in India, Atmanirbharta objective more than any other country. Even on this visit, the assault rifle deal, the deal for manufacturing assault rifles in India was signed. There are many other areas where we will make in India and Russian designed equipment. The technology will be transferred to us. So this support for our defense industry in India is another dimension of the India-Russia defense cooperation. And all of this, will continue together with our efforts to get source technologies and arms from other countries.
Ambassador Raghavan, we also saw that External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, in his opening remarks at the meeting, said that the India-Russia partnership is unique. We are very conscious that in a world of rapid geopolitical changes, it has in fact been remarkably steady and strong. When we talk of the geopolitical changes or the changes that we see happening regionally, one of them, of course, is Afghanistan. Do you feel that the summit meeting which is happening today also will help India and Russia evolve a future course which is common to both of their interests as far as Afghanistan is concerned?
Yes, you see, this is actually an effort already in progress. We had a number of controversies, especially in the media and the strategic community, about Russia's behavior before the American departure, the NATO departure from Afghanistan. Russia actually collaborated with the United States, China, Pakistan in dealing with the Taliban, which actually facilitated the Taliban coming to power in Afghanistan. There were a number of reasons, and this is what I said before as well. They have various reasons which is activated which motivated their actions. But anyway, once the Taliban has taken over and once the NATO has vacated Afghanistan, our objectives and Russian objectives actually are pretty strongly coincident in the sense that, we are also interested in Afghanistan not being unstable. We are interested in, both of us are interested in Afghanistan not exporting terror or jihad or drugs, and therefore it should be far easier for us now to synchronize our positions. There will still be differences in outlook in some ways. There will be differences in tactics, but this is unavoidable. In today's world, when there is such a cross current of geopolitical flux, if you like, there will be various factors which will motivate countries to act in particular manner. The point is that in the larger strategic outlook, we have common perspectives, we have to pursue them, and we have to consult with each other closely. And very much so, you talk about the summit. It's not only the summit. Within days of the Taliban taking over in Afghanistan, President Putin called Prime Minister Modi and they had a telephonic conversation. Then the National Security Advisor of Russia came to India for bilateral consultations on Afghanistan. Then he came again for a multilateral dialogue on Afghanistan when all the Central Asian countries and Iran, in addition to Russia, took the invitation of our National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, to India. So, this is a consultation process. And then in the 2+2 again, Afghanistan was very strongly. So this is going to be very much the topic on the agenda of the two leaders. And as you know, the two leaders have actually built up such a fantastic rapport of trust and confidence in each other. that when they meet, they are able to each other's position and to evolve common approaches to many issues, and Afghanistan is no exception.
Ambassador Raghavan, as you just said, that it is also the relationship between leaders which often decides the trajectory of the relationship. And we have seen that as far as President Putin is concerned and Prime Minister Modi is concerned, they both seem to share a great personal chemistry, and there seems to be a lot of warmth and understanding in the relationship. Do you feel that this also lends strength to the bilateral relationship between the two countries?
Absolutely. I have actually been present at the summits. The first summit between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi in 2014, I was present there, and I have been present at subsequent summits as well. I can see how that chemistry has developed and grown into relations of confidence and trust, and that does make a big difference in relations between countries, and particularly when you have discordant elements which from time to time keep getting aired about the nature of the relationship. This is a relationship of trust that ensures that if there are misunderstandings at other levels, the two leaders can talk to each other and make sure that those misunderstandings are dispersed and their true perspectives are clarified.
Ambassador Raghavan, as we've talked about the defense relationship and the strategic relationship between India and Russia, when it comes to commercial trade between the two countries, it seems to be a little below its potential. The bilateral trade in 2019, that is the pre-pandemic levels, stood at $11 billion, and it was skewed in Russia's favor. Do you feel that trade is an area where both India and Russia can focus more, and as the trade goes, this will add another strength to the relationship?
You have hit the nail on the head. We have the two strong pillars, or three strong pillars, if you like, of India-Russia relations. The political pillar, the defense pillar, and the energy pillar. The economic cooperation pillar is still weak. There's no other word for it. The $8, $9, $10 billion, whatever it is that the trade between our two countries is nothing compared to the opportunities. However, there are two reasons for it. One is ignorance, lack of awareness in each other's capabilities in the business communities, and I think the media also is responsible for that. That lack of awareness, I think, results in opportunities not being taken. The other reason is actually the distance between the two countries. If you talk about the freight corridor, if you were to reach your goods to Russia by any mode other than air, you've got to take a circuitous sea route right around the world to reach Rotterdam or St. Petersburg and so on. That's a major factor hampering trade and promotion of trade relations. That is why there is this other very strategic project that India and Russia are pursuing, which is the North-South Transport Corridor. It's a multimodal transport corridor from the west coast of India through Iran, and it then connects up northwards to Central Asia, to Afghanistan, and to Russia. This is a strategic project. It reduces the freight time to Russia by half. It reduces the freight cost to Russia by half, in addition to giving us links to Central Asia, which is of strategic importance to us, to Afghanistan, which is also of importance to us. So if we can get the North-South Transport Corridor going and operational, trade relations between India and Russia will grow manifold in a very short period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Indian economy is showing strong signs of recovery. 19 out of 22 economic indicators have registered an increase compared to the situation before the COVID-19 pandemic. A report.
High-frequency indicators, HFIs, are being monitored to track the progress of economic recovery in India since the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country. As per the latest information, full recovery has been achieved in respect of 19 FPIs out of 22 HFIs. Latest levels in the last 3 months are higher than their pre-pandemic levels in the corresponding months of 2019. Among the 19 FPIs, there are some indicators whose recovery is way beyond 100%, such as e-way bills by volume, merchandise exports, coal production, rail freight traffic, among others. It suggests that not only the recovery is complete, the economic growth is now gathering momentum over the pre-pandemic levels of output. This is further confirmed by the estimates of GDP recently released for Q2 of 2021-22, whose year-on-year growth in real terms at 8.4% takes the output level higher than the pre-pandemic level of Q2 output in 2019-20. Abhineet Shukla for World News.
This is All India Radio, giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to World News. Today, India marks 50 years of recognizing an independent sovereign Bangladesh. In a tweet, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, India and Bangladesh are commemorating Maitri Divas today. Mr. Modi said he looks forward to continue working with his Bangladesh counterpart, Sheikh Hasina, to further expand and deepen bilateral ties. India was one of the first countries to establish bilateral diplomatic ties with Bangladesh on 6th of December 1971. The first Maitri Divas to mark the recognition of Bangladesh as an independent and sovereign nation by India and Bhutan in 1971 was celebrated in Bangladesh on Monday. A report from our special correspondent in Dhaka.
The first Maitri Divas was celebrated in Dhaka with much enthusiasm and wide participation of people from India and Bangladesh. The High Commission of India in Dhaka hosted a reception and a musical evening on this occasion. Speaker of the Bangladesh Parliament, Shirin Sharmin Chowdhury, was the chief guest of the event with several dignitaries including cabinet ministers, members of parliament, the chief of the army staff, secretaries to the government, leaders of business and industry, media, academia and civil society present on the occasion. Bangladeshi nationals selected for India's highest civilian Padma Awards in the years 2020 and 2021 were specially invited and felicitated in the presence of the August gathering. Welcoming the guests on the occasion, High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Vikram Doraiswamy, said that the Maitri Divas is being celebrated in 18 major countries of the world apart from Delhi and Dhaka. He said, India accords the highest priority to celebrate the 50th anniversary of liberation of Bangladesh. This is reflected in the decision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to mark December 6th as the Maitri Divas. The decision to mark December 6th as Maitri Divas was taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina during the state visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Bangladesh in March this year. Rajesh Jha, World News, All India Radio, Dhaka.
India's President Ramnath Kovind will pay a state visit to Bangladesh between December 15 to 17 to attend the 50th Victory Day celebrations of Bangladesh. The citizens of Gwadar in Pakistan have intensified their protests against the fishing by illegal Chinese trawlers in the port area. The peaceful sit-in protest under the banner of the Gwadar Ko Haq Do movement has now been expanded as Balochistan Ko Haq Do. The protest began on November 15. Thousands of people marched from Gwadar Saeed Hashmi Chowk to Gwadar Port, while caravans from different parts of the district Gwadar, including Makran, joined the sit-in. In addition, civil society Kesh Turbat and all parties also joined hands.
India beat New Zealand by 372 runs in the second test at Mumbai to win the two-match series 1-0. India mopped up the New Zealand lower order within 40 minutes of play on day 4 at the Wankhede Stadium. Chasing a mammoth 540, the Black Caps were bowled out for 167 in 56.3 overs. With this, Virat Kohli and his men dethroned New Zealand in the latest ICC Test Championships rankings and climbed to the top spot. And now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post says Omicron identified in Hong Kong, quarantine hotel cases likely spread through hallway. The Sydney Morning Herald reports US to announce diplomatic boycott of Beijing Winter Olympics. Ceylon today says veteran Republic leader Bob Dole dies. Financial Times reports Aung San Suu Kyi sentenced to 4 years in prison by Myanmar court. Tolos News says India hosts Putin as it balances ties with Russia and US. A quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin holds 21st India-Russia Annual Summit at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. India and Russia have set target of trade worth $30 billion and investment worth $50 billion by 2025, says Prime Minister Modi. India and Bangladesh jointly celebrate Maitri Divas to commemorate 50 years of the Bangladesh Liberation War, and in cricket, India becomes number 1 test team in latest ICC rankings. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Bangladesh on their National Day. Vaishnav Jan And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.